We'll go ahead and get started. Thank you all first for coming. We appreciate this attendance and you all coming out. Another meeting night. If everybody, I'll just ensure everybody did sign in, and we've got copies of the agenda there. First off, let's go through and do introductions. I know we've got some new faces in here, which is always a good thing. I'm Felicia Hart. I work for the town. I am the Director of Community Development and Tourism.
Hi, I'm Joe Waltz. I'm the town manager. Thank you all for coming out. I'd love to see all these seats filled like tonight they are. Thank you.
Arlene, we'll let you start. Introduce yourself.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Caught her off guard.
Arlene Link. I am with the Kiln Doctor and Explorer and Clay and Secretary of FREBA.
Craig Laird with FREBA, Rural Computers, and the Vinyl League.
I'm BJ Wilson, Director of Finance for the Town of Front Royal.
Robert Boyer, Public Works Director for the Town of Front Royal.
Jeremy Camp, the Planning and Zoning Director for the town.
Gail McGillis, I'm the Chief of Police.
Whitlow from VetBuilder.com. I also sit on the town's VAR.
William Huck, CNC Frozen Treats.
Nina Huck, CNC Frozen Treats.
David Downs, Virginia Beer Museum, local attorney.
Jeff Brown.
That's it?
Jim, how are you?
I married well.
And I'm Jenny Lisa with Main Street Travel. No. I'm done.
Okay, Linda Allen.
Mike Swagger, Kiln Doctor.
Anna Reno, Gourmet Delights, Gibson Travel.
Ellen Aders, State Farm on the corner of Church and Jackson.
Jean Flogger, the owner of Jean's Jewelers on Main Street.
Katrina Mead, City National Bank.
Sandra Charles, Lackawanna Bed and Breakfast.
Nick Stravinskas, Dry Tie.
Wonderful. Again, thank you all for coming tonight. We appreciate this. I do want to keep us on task. We've got some things to go through. Is there anything, once you reviewed the agenda, is there something that somebody else would like to add at some point? Or you thought of another topic? If you have something, just let us know. We'll capture it and we'll bring that up where it's appropriate. But again, feel free to speak out at any time. I'll give a quick update on the community development and tourism. We've had a lot of things going on, so hopefully you've seen some of those things. I do want to announce we participated in a program through tourism/economic development a while back, and we participated and applied for a grant through the USDA, and we were actually accepted. We've developed a team. It's called the Connect 340. It's made up of tourism offices and economic development offices from Rockingham County and from Luray Page. We can call ourselves, as I mentioned, the Connect 340. What we have in common is we're gateways to the Skyline Drive. So we were one of 3 in the state of Virginia that have been awarded this grant. One of only 47 in the entire state, in the entire U.S. that were awarded this. And what this will provide us is access to a lot of experts who will come in and help us analyze from our long-term, the goal is the long-term economic growth of the communities. So they'll be coming in. We'll have more of that. The governor just released this, I guess it was a couple of weeks ago. We'll have more information on that. Be doing a lot of community meetings with that, pulling together some information, getting input from all of the different aspects and people here in the community. So we're proud of being awarded that and being acknowledged for that. We've been working with a lot of realtors, shown several properties here in town, both to developers and potential new business owners. I'm sure you see us out walking the sidewalks here lately, so that's a good thing. There's movement, there's talk. We've also we've got a couple out-of-town companies that we're in the works right now to try and fill in some of the gaps that we have here. So more of that will be released soon as everything's, how we have to sign on dotted lines and get everything closed and all of that good stuff. Been working closely with the new EDA director, really trying to showcase the properties and the businesses that we have here in our community to help him understand where the growth potential is, where do we need help in trying to get outside sources for the town itself So Doug is trying really hard. You can imagine he's got a lot on his plate. Doug Parsons, if you haven't met him yet. So he's really trying to make a difference. I know he's worked with most of the department heads and obviously very closely with Joe. So things are moving along in that part of it. The tourism side, proud to say, and Jeremy will go into this a little bit, but through our Community Development Block Grant, part of that campaign, part of what we obligated ourselves to do was develop a brand new tourism website. And it is up and running, it's live, it's beautiful. It's all about photography. The words are minimal because people want to see those pictures and feel like they're part of that. So we're excited about that. This live website, hello there. This live website will also, it will give us the opportunity for to actually capture the Google Analytics, which we weren't able to capture before. So now we know where people are coming from, what they're looking at, what's working on our pages and what's not. So we're going to be much more efficient with our website. If you haven't had a chance to look at that, please do. If you are a tourism-related business, you should have gotten an email from us to confirm that the information we have on there is correct. And then we were looking for some really good high-res photos. This is your opportunity to brag about your business, and we hope you take advantage of that. We also, the governor just released the 2018 tourism figures. So the tourism revenues for the state of Virginia reached $26 billion. That's an increase of 4.4%. Tourism in the state of Virginia supported 234,000 jobs. As many of you know, that touches a lot of you guys. So whether it's a grocery store, whether it's the Kiln Doctor, whether it's ice cream, all of those. So that's a good thing. And those numbers are increasing for us. We're seeing a lot of additional visitors come into our community. A lot of international folks are coming into our community. Skyline National Park just released their numbers. They had, it was 1,264,880 million people visited Skyline Drive. That's incredible. Those numbers are actually, they're down. The total spending is actually down 8.9% over 2017 because last year was a bad year for the park. Remember the weather? Yes. It was either raining or it was snow or it was ice, so the parks were closed an awful lot of that time. So that's why those numbers are down slightly, but we're seeing an increase already this year. If you're a tourism-related, especially if you're an outdoor tourism-related business, you're seeing those numbers already increase. Let's see. We are working. We just signed a deal. We're going to be distributing an additional 30,000 of our visitors guides along the I-95 and I-66 corridor. So that's a huge new opportunity, a huge new audience for us. We're really excited about that. Hiker numbers, if you haven't seen those folks, we're excited. We have something to brag about here in our community. We are an Appalachian certified Appalachian Trail community, and we're getting big numbers of hikers coming in. They're definitely taking advantage of the base camp that is available there behind Mountain Trails, Front Row Brewing, and Down Home Comfort Bakery. That's a free service provided to them. The hikers just check in. They get a free shower. They have an industrial washer and dryer in there so they can clean up. And it's a great way for that community, that niche, to get together and leave wonderful messages. And they're bragging about our community. So if you see any of them, especially coming in, they're on the trail or they're walking in, if you want to give them a ride, we're always looking for angels to bring people into town. It's just a good way to say thanks for coming in. We appreciate that. We've, hopefully you've just heard, and all of the motorcycle folks were here. We were very excited and very proud of that. This is the first year that the Mid-Atlantic Women's Motorcycle Rally has stayed for 3 years in a locality. And this was sadly their third and final year with us. They will be in York, PA next year, but we have gotten so many comments. They love the way, thank you, Chief. The Parade of Chrome is just amazing for them. I think there were 4 people who took different videos that have been showcased. We've had over, I want to say it's like now 13,000 people who have viewed those videos. A number of the women, that is the big group, and of that big group, there are probably 4 or 5 smaller groups. So we're looking at having those smaller groups come back. We work with them closely to do the trail rides, to get to all the businesses. We put together a scavenger hunt, so they were out in a lot of businesses this year. They do spend a lot of money when they come, so it was a good thing. At the same time, we had the almost 325 bicyclists that were here on Saturday for the Bike Virginia. That was just part of, I think this year there were about 1,900 bicyclists. They were stationed out of Woodstock. So they take different routes, and one of the routes we invited them to come to was to Front Royal. They stayed from 10 to 3 at the visitor center. It's a timed race, so they don't, obviously, and they're on a bike too, they don't do a lot of shopping. But it gives them an opportunity to see your business. Make sure your stores are decorated, make sure people are paying attention to you. So it's an opportunity to get in front of a lot of different new faces. So we're proud to be able to take advantage of those types of things. I will show you, we did just produce this hiker's guide. It's already out there on, I think, 6 Facebook pages. This helps the hikers when they come in to know where the post office is, where's the internet, how do they get their phone fixed, where some lodging is. So we've got these available if you have hikers that come into your shop. If you want to get some of these, let me know. We'll make sure you get these. We also know we have cheap gas here, which is a good thing. And a lot of people, when they stop, the convenience stores are their first place they stop at. And they ask the locals, what's there to do in Front Royal? And what do we hear? Nothing to do in Front Royal, go someplace else. So we're working really closely with our convenience stores, gas stations. We know those folks are busy. They're trying to ring the cash register. They're trying to sell the gas and make a hot dog at the same time. We produce these little pieces here. They're actually, it's got a piece of 2-sided tape. So they put it right next to their cash register. So what we're working and training with these folks to do, the frontline staff, is say, when someone asks, what's there to do in Front Royal? That's a great question. And they tear this off and go, right here, it has all of your answers. So it's the Facebook page, it's our phone number, it's the website. It's that easy to give people the correct information. So we've got a lot of these available. If you want some for your store, for your customers, let me know. We've got those available. We're also working on a number of new brochures. You'll see those around town, and we'll make those available to anybody else who needs some of those. So that's pretty much it for the community development and tourism. Any questions on that? I know I'm throwing a lot of stuff. Yes, sir.
Where did all these people stay this weekend?
For who?
The bikers.
The bikers are all camped out in Woodstock. That's where they are centrally located, is Woodstock. They have the contract, that's where they stay at. The motorcycle ladies were all at the Holiday Inn, the Holiday Inn Express, and Hampton Inn.
We had 8 of them.
Good. Oh, yay.
Yeah.
Very good.
And they were, I put some stuff on Facebook. They were very knowledgeable about all sorts of things that were going on. It was very great to be able to, I just felt so much more enthusiasm for the event and could post it also. And,
terrific.
And they liked hearing it.
Thank you for doing that. We appreciate that. We spend a lot of time with their board. They come down 2 or 3 times throughout the year, so we're always updating them, the new businesses that are open. Here's the opportunities, here's what they can take advantage of. Just like we did the scavenger hunt, we asked businesses to put coupons in there. That's low-hanging fruit, people. It's easy to get your name out there. So thank you for doing that. What I would suggest, and when you do those Facebook posts, always tag Discover Front Royal. That way we're aware of it, and then we can share it and give you high fives.
I put a picture of the sign maybe out on the street. And I think I had the name on there also.
Okay.
Because they said the last day they were there, they thought they had gotten $11,000 in donations. It was a fundraiser as well.
Yes.
Yeah,
They did that they've got a number of members who passed away and are battling cancer. So they do that for that. So it's a good cause. So thank you. We high five. We appreciate that.
Well, it was very much more advertised, and I really appreciated that too, because it was like everybody was aware of what was going on.
We've worked really hard. We spend a lot of time with those groups. Like I said, they come down ahead of time. We want them to be able to get the initial word out, because that's how they control it. And then our job is to reinforce that with the community to help people understand there's gonna be a lot of bikes in town. Through those closed groups that we have, the business owners, here's what you can take advantage of.
And they do come in, they were here quite a few days
Yes.
beforehand and spent money. Very good.
Wonderful, well, thank you, and we're working hard to get more groups like that in. They, as I mentioned, they really appreciated what we as a town had and a community had done for them. You know, the fact that they were willing to come back for 3 years says an awful lot. So that's really good. We appreciate that.
But next year they're going where there's a Harley plant. That's the problem.
York, PA. Yes. Well, and we worked closely because at the same time we had the Hog Rally out of Winchester, so that was a little over 2,000 bikes. So we'd work with them throughout the year to develop trails, to develop set rides, depending on their skill set, to help them get into the park and do a number of things. Again, they're on a bike. You know, they traveled a lot of miles to get here. They're not really into shopping, but the more we can educate them on why they can come back and do things. Yes, oh, they had breakfast, lunch, and they ate well. They do post a lot of pictures when they're eating. They
And
do.
sometimes the hikers come in and meet somebody here. To spend the night or to have dinner and stuff too. So
Yeah,
I
that's
think
a
the
great
laundry
niche.
things are great
Yeah.
for the hikers.
Well, we appreciate that. Thank you. All right, we're going to let Jeremy talk a little bit here, give us an update on the Community Development Block Grant.
And just a few things to update everybody on. The facade improvement program projects, we have a group of 12 projects which are being bid out for construction work to facades. And those bids are due back on July the 9th. Shortly thereafter, we'll be bringing it back to our project management team for approval and awarding of the bid, and then ultimately that has to go back to council. So we're kind of looking at the last meeting in July with council at this point in time. So.
I'll add that Jeremy had a walking tour with the contractors who are participating, so you see a lot of them. And still out here, they've got their blueprints and their designs, so they're looking at the property. So if you see people trying to figure out things and keep looking up, that's what it is. Those are contractors.
Yeah, we had a good turnout in the pre-construction meeting, so we're hoping we'll get some good competitive bids going around. We also had the first phase of the downtown parking study. That was inventory of the parking and analysis of the supply and demand of parking, so we can move more efficiently going into the next phase, which is actually designing what parking improvements we want to accomplish downtown. The main objective there is to kind of improve Jackson Street, make more public parking convenient to where people need it. So the study is not complete yet. It was drafted by the Regional Commission, which we partnered with to write the report, and but the Planning Commission had a lot of comments on that. So they're kind of tweaking, improving the study at this time, correcting some information in there. But ultimately, it's gonna show that we're deficient on public parking, but overall the quantity of parking is pretty solid. But that takes into account the underutilized private parking, that's the issue. Not enough public parking and underutilized private spaces, and so we're going to be working on the next phase on design plans on making more public parking available and speaking with the owners about what to do with some of the private parking.
Jeremy, that was an issue over a year ago, planning and zoning, when I had my case before them. Is this the same study that they're still studying? I just want to know, when do you think it'll be done?
Well, it was completed a month and a half ago, roughly. Now the Regional Commission, so we had a contract with them where we were going to collect the data and then they were going to do the report. So that was the draft of the report. It went to the Planning Commission. They had some changes. So all of this kind of originated, for the most part, in that time frame you're talking about, which is, coincided with a lot of the input we were receiving from the community on the growing demand for parking and the shortage of supply that really has resulted from a lot of the positive things we have going downtown, a lot of the new restaurants and uses. It's been consuming a lot more of the parking.
There are also businesses that have gone out of business. since then. So while it's optimistic that we want growing demand, I get that, but I was under the impression we still have never reached maximum capacity, that you have at max, what, 60% usage? What are the numbers?
If you get up to maximum capacity, you're way behind the curveball.
When can I see the study? That's all. I just want to see the study.
As soon as it's complete, I'll share it with you. You're welcome to view the draft study now, but it's going to be drastically changed. A lot of the information, and they had made some errors in the calculation. So we're just going to be correcting that, and then also
reasonable estimate, month, a year, 2 years?
I'm meeting with them this week, and then I should be able to give you
Trying to be
time
patient,
frame.
you know, this has been a year now.
Is there any thoughts of doing parking meters? I hope not, I just wondered.
Parking meters, Joe. he is working on that.
Just threw that ball, okay?
Actually, we have been talking about parking meters. We do have a problem. There's no doubt about it of people parking into our parking for an extended period of time. One of our biggest problems is enforcement, and it's labor intense. Where we're looking at is possibly doing a pilot project is over here on South Royal across from the courthouse. We're looking at the feasibility of putting parking meters in there with giving a provision of parking free for a certain amount of time, but then paying for extended stay. But it is an issue, and we're still looking to try to resolve that issue. Parking meters may be the key, but we don't know that yet. We're still putting a proposal together to do a pilot project over here on South Street, on South Royal. Because we noticed that's a small concentrated area that we could probably do a pilot project. So we are looking into it, but we do run into problems with enforcement, and it's labor intensive. We used to go by and chalk the tires, but now we can't even do that in the court. The vehicle is considered private property, and so now it's more labor intense, taking pictures. It's not unachievable, but it is labor intense. And it is a cost component there of having a cop sit there for 2 hours and watch a vehicle to see that it moves. We're aware of it, and we're trying to address it. I don't know if parking meters are the solution, but it's one of those solutions we're looking at.
Aren't parking meters also labor intensive to follow up for people who have exceeded and violated their stay?
Yeah, but the problem is that's an actual timer that starts. Yeah. See, the problem is with a cop, you'd have to come by, and the same cop would almost like, I'm speaking out of turn here because I don't know exactly the procedures of way they enforce the parking. I've just heard the issues of being labor intense and that, and maybe the chief can elaborate a little bit more. But the meters in themselves will allow better accountability, is what I'm looking for.
Put another quarter in the meter, that doesn't solve the only parking in 2 hours.
I agree.
And town's half empty anyways with what we have going on Main Street. So whatever clients or customers we have come down, we want to charge them 25 cents to be here?
No. That's not what I'm talking about.
Okay.
What I'm talking about, and I'm really talking out of school here because we're still investigating this. And the idea is not to make money. The idea is to regulate the parking. I'll be honest with you. Some of the business owners are responsible for parking out here on Main Street for longer than 2 hours.
They're on worst enemies.
It's hard to find a solution to accommodate everybody.
But that's going off of the idea that their business success is predicated on 1 or 2 spaces. I mean, I'm sorry. When I go to Walmart, I walk all the way across the parking lot, which is actually twice the size of the downtown. And now we're going to say, oh, well, parking's this big issue. Has anyone ever gone to anywhere else where any other small towns or historic districts? Guess what? There's a parking issue.
Right. Well,
there's
I'm
a
not
parking
going to
issue in Gainesville.
Right. I'm not going to debate this tonight, but I will state that it is a problem.
Right. But there's 2 sides to that problem. I mean,
Exactly.
if
and I'm not trying to solve that
parking
tonight.
is something you're spending time at looking into, I mean, that to me sounds like a waste of anybody's time.
Okay. Duly noted.
Perfect.
Well, I just said it because that's one of the things we tell our guests, no parking meters downtown. We think it's kind of charming. I didn't know it was such a can of worms.
I remember when they took the parking meters out.
Right, we had parking meters years ago and they
And it
took
cost
them out.
a penny.
But you know, you see how the other small towns are having to do that because it is, especially with the new meters and being able to enforce it, you don't have to have someone go through and regulate it. So there's lots of options, as Joe said. We're in the very early stages.
Parking too, right? And
I'm sorry?
Is that extra parking, off-street parking?
We do, and that's part of what Jeremy we talked about though, is especially over there on Jackson Street, because we know this lot fills up pretty quick, especially on a Tuesday, court date, don't try and find a parking space over here. So we're trying to we have to look at what we have, the real estate that's available on Jackson Street, and how do we best utilize that? Because it's not only the parking spaces, but now we have to reassure, because if I drive back there, I'm not sure what building I'm even behind when you're looking at the back door of a building.
Right.
So we have to look at the signage. We've got to look at the lighting. Do people feel safe when we tell them to park over there and then walk down this alley? So it's the street lighting, it's the signage, it's that warm and welcome feeling that we need to provide. Because if you're a single mom with a baby, you really know you're going to make one pass and you're going to the next stop. You're not going to do it. And I shouldn't say moms, it's dads too. I mean, there's people, we have to make them feel safe. So that's part of what Jeremy's looking at with regards to the big picture overall. And how do we plan for that?
And
Yes.
time of day and level of activity. We're also looking at that.
Yes. Yeah, Jeremy's broken it down by hours and, yes. Different days of the week. Mike?
Does your study include the courthouse? I mean, how many people go to the courthouse every day and take up parking spaces?
Yes, it does include the courthouse. We also use programming that VDOT offers for communities that tracks everybody's GPSs on their phone. So I mean,
Big Brother is watching.
That's data they've already collected, so we can go in and collect that and analyze that. So that was part of the study, and we also did field counts, which included courthouse and all of the downtown revitalization area, all the parking in that.
Yeah, that was
We'll be posting that on the website as soon as that's finalized. Right now, I have the draft form, but like I said, it's going to be changed significantly. So I would just wait on the final results.
And they did work with the court systems, both in this one and the previous one. How fast is the court system growing? How many additional cases are they getting? It's not just based on right now. So we're looking at all these years out too, so we can plan accordingly. Yeah. Green space, Jeremy?
Town Commons, we have a project scope with Fraser. We're looking at getting plans drawn up by the end of the year, and then going out to bid for construction and starting construction for next spring, spring 2020. That's for the actual physical construction of some type of community covered space for a farmer's market or outdoor events. The design work that Fraser is going to be finalized and will dictate exactly what that's going to look like. So we're going to have that process coming forward very soon. And,
I'm sorry, when we say green space, that's what we meant the gazebo area. Sorry.
and some public restrooms as well we'll be adding. So that's exciting. And then we've got the wayfinding signage moving forward. Also working with Fraser Associates out of Stanton on that. And do we have the draft designs yet?
No, that will be next week.
Next week.
Next week we meet with them. And that's to help get people off of 66 and around in our community, help them understand and better able to navigate the roads here to get them where they need to go in an efficient manner. We're working close. Obviously, we have VDOT, the accountability there with VDOT, so we're working with them. Jeremy, the murals. Give people a...
Yeah, we've got 2 new murals downtown. One is at the corner of 118 and Mountain Trails. So there's that Roberts building where there's a small narrow section where it bumps out from Mountain Trails. So that wall and the window there, they're proposing to paint with a mountain view with some hikers in the distance, and there's a tree. It's going to be done by a young local artist and who did some work in Strasburg, and it's actually going to be part of the Appalachian Mural Trail program. So they're going to advertise it, and people will actually, I guess, come and visit the murals. It's going to be along that route, and so they'll come here and be right beside the base camp and the Mountain Trail store. So that's interesting. And then the other one is Doug Ikaruchi's wife, Melissa, I believe is her name. She's also a more well-established local artist. She's going to be doing the side of their building with a Sky Vista mural, which is the building where the little convenience store is located. That,
Cloud Street. Isn't that Cloud Street?
Cloud Street, yes.
So she's got the entire property there from the front to the back.
And hopefully we'll get some more. I think murals will create a little excitement downtown.
Yeah.
Both of those have been approved by the Board of Architecture Review at this time.
Policies and procedures, we have a lot of those. This is why it takes so long. It has, I mean, you figure these meetings, they're only every month, sometimes every other month. So trying to get through all of the roads that we have to get through, it does take a while. Any questions on that? The grant? All right, well, thank you. I was hoping we were having, some of the other folks are coming in. I know she had a late meeting, so she's not here yet. Why don't we go ahead and skip down FREBA? We'll go ahead and have the FREBA and the chamber give us their update, and maybe the other folks will be in here by then. Otherwise, we just continue to have these conversations. Craig?
Hi, I'm Craig Laird with FREBA, and the first information we have to bring to you is Taste of the Town. We've got our rain day of Friday, September 27th, and we're working on booking the band and getting all of the food vendors and all the entertainment and things like that. Anybody who is interested in having a table, contact Arlene at the Kiln Doctor. She's taking care of the route and all of that. It's going to be set up a little bit differently than it was in previous years. We're going to be concentrated more around Chester Street and the gazebo area itself. So we won't actually be closing the major part of Main Street. And all the cars will then be back behind the gazebo area on Chester Street.
Chester and
Laura Virginia Hale.
Right.
How many
We can never remember that
people
road.
accommodate on that?
How many?
Is there like a target number of people that you're going to try to accommodate? Number of
As far as
seats?
cars,
Number of tables?
a number of tables?
In the gazebo area?
Yeah, whatever we can get in the gazebo
Yeah.
area. So if you look at the National Night Out, that would be probably the type of look that we have for the tables and stuff, and little tent, things like that for that. So look forward to, it's only 3 months away now. Tomorrow will be 3 months exactly,
And we want as much participation, not just the businesses, but anything local. If you have, your dance group, your karate group, we want it as a taste of what Front Royal has to offer. Not just the restaurants and small businesses, but our local community events, nonprofits. The more we get out there to let people know what we have in Front Royal, the more people that will come down off the mountains. And I've been seeing that more and more, especially this year, because of events and us being participants in them. Our biggest event was, the Family Fun Day, the parade. I know there was a lot of discussion about being closed down, but I have in this bag names of people. They saw us in the parade, they sought us out, and they gave us their names to become customers of ours. And right now, we've been getting slammed this with people coming in and visiting our store. So it's important that we work as a community. And we did listen to the community about closing down Main Street. So we came up with a decision to combine everything and put it into the gazebo area and work it around that way. So hopefully it'll be a bigger and successful, and we have our local community business and Main Street people be a part of it. Even if they, just put something out, a table or set up with us. But it's important that our community knows. I just met a couple yesterday who, the gentleman's been here in Front Royal for 1.5 years. His wife or fiance just here 2 months. She's into clay. She didn't know that we had a clay facility here in town. She came down. She was all excited. She says, in the middle of nowhere, there's a clay facility.
We're a big dot on the map, okay?
And this is from New York, So it's important that we work as a community. And when you have an opportunity to pass out coupons, you may never see them, but they remember your name. And they come in. And I have kids, from little kids, 2 and 3 years old, up until senior citizens. So if you want the business, it's there, but we gotta work for it and work together. And that's what FREBA, we're looking to do. That's what we've been trying to do, especially with the Taste of the Town.
Now, are you guys gonna have the handout like you did in the past?
Yes.
Okay, so do you wanna talk a little bit about that?
We do have a handout that we pass out. Sorry, I just had knee surgery, so I'm a little tired today. But we have a flyer that we pass out, which will be a map of where everything will be on in the event, along with the restaurants and how many tickets it costs to purchase the food. But we also offer you a chance to put a coupon in there. I'm not sure what we...
It was like $10.
It was like $10. You just put a coupon in this flyer.
It's been $10 the last couple
Right.
of years.
And by doing that, all these people that come down, we get, thousands of people who come down to this event, who love it. People from the mountain. And that's where we get our business, is up in the mountain, our local community. We do get people from Winchester and Strasburg, some from Luray. So the word is out there. This is an awesome community. Events are important, bringing people here. And by keeping us working as a group, doing advertising as a group, reasonable advertising. We're a small business. We can't afford to have hundreds of dollars in newspaper ads or TV commercials or radio things. And a lot of ours is these events. We're passing out those coupons and the rack cards. And as a community, that's what we need to do together. But if you'd like to participate, let me know.
So the Taste of the Town is not just the taste from the local area restaurants, it's a taste of this community. So if you want to participate, if you've got something to hand out to people, then let Arlene know, and we'll get you included on that. Independence Week, July 1st starts the National Week of celebrating our independent businesses. So make sure you put your flags and flyers and celebrate that. Put a little notice on Facebook. You can go to Amoeba, AMIBA.net. They've got all sorts of things for that. That's our National American Independent Business Alliance that we're affiliated with. Another thing that we're doing with What Matters, Beth Waller and her organization, we're in this time of turmoil and uncertainty and maybe some mistrust as well. And what we want to do from FREBA's standpoint and What Matters is we've banded together and we're going to do a series of videos and discussions that are open to all of you. The first one starts tomorrow at 11:30 to 1 o'clock over at What Matters here on Main Street. And we're going to talk about idea friendly, how to be idea friendly, to start with big ideas that start small and then develop. So we have a video from a group called Save Your Town. This is Becky McCrae and Deb Brown. They're from rural America. They're from little towns of 800 people. And they've been through this type of thing. They've seen other communities go through times of uncertainty and wondering how to redevelop their community. And so they have these talking videos and they present wonderful, wonderful ideas and they stimulate discussion in a positive way. So we from FREBA and Beth Waller from What Matters are going to be presenting these series of videos. So we will also have bring your own lunch. Or for $5, George is going to be bringing a few lunches along as well. And then you can eat and watch this video and hopefully garner some ideas and start some discussion on how we individually can come together and develop our community for positive good. So those are some of the things that's happening with FREBA, and we look forward to your involvement and seeing our name get more and more out there this year.
Yeah.
All right, any questions? Anybody have any questions? All right, thank you. Nikki? I'm sorry? There you go.
Hi,
haven't seen you
everybody.
for a while.
I know, right? Thank you for the opportunity. I'm not going to speak for very long. I don't have much of a voice. I don't know how much I'll get through this. But just a couple of things. Last night we graduated 19 participants of our community leadership program. And there's some really, really special people in that class, and I think you're going to see them make an impact in the community. For those of you who don't know what the community leadership program is, it's an 8-month program where folks who live and or work in Front Royal and Warren County study a different aspect in depth of the community once a month. So we meet once a month for 8 months, And then we have a nice little graduation ceremony, and then those folks go off and do all kinds of wonderful things in the community. So look for them to be making an impact.
Nikki, give them an example of where they go to and the
Oh,
different
sure.
businesses, because a lot of people don't know that those businesses are even there.
Of course. I think I actually have a graduate or two in the
Yeah, there you
audience
go.
right now.
I think the town had, what, 4
Yeah, we
yesterday?
had the town had 4 that graduated yesterday. So the topics that they study, local government, of course. So we spend the day with the town and the county and all of the other folks who are making the decisions regarding our community. There's Education Day. There's Local Economy Day. And there's a myriad of others. We do have the schedule and program applications on our website, so you're welcome to check it out there, or give me a call if you want to learn more about the program. We'll have applications available starting on July 15th, and we'll take those up until the first part of October, and then we'll kick off with a retreat, and then the classes start in November. We do, every year, our education committee does a new teacher reception, and this year is no different. It seems like school just got out, but the reception will be on July 30th at Warren County Middle School. It looks like we'll be welcoming back somewhere between 65 and 70 new teachers to the community. We do that with a really nice meal provided by Shenandoah Valley Golf Club and the Apple House. And then our local businesses donate a number of items to be placed in goodie bags for the teachers. So the teachers usually walk away with a bag full of swag. And we have a couple of committee members who do a really good job of coordinating door prizes. So just about every teacher will walk away with a door prize as well. So those of you who have already donated to Jeff Henson as he's walked around and asked you, thank you very much. Those of you who are going to put stuff in the bags, thank you. And of course, that
They are
event,
now.
Yeah, right. That event is open for people to come and just help us welcome these folks and thank them for coming to our community and helping to make it a better place. So the Brew and Blues Festival, which happens in September and does not close down Main Street, is happening again September 21st, but this year we've changed the name. So the name of the event now is River and Brews, and we want to put a little more focus on the outdoor recreation component that we have here in Front Royal and Warren County. Our community is full of natural beauty, and we have so many assets that we really, really want to shine a spotlight on that. And we're going to be partnering with some of our local outfitters and some of our outdoor stores and things to create a number of smaller events surrounding that event to really make it a weekend experience. So look for that information. Again, it's September 21st. Look for a new logo to roll out soon. And for more information on that, we actually only have one sponsorship left for that event. So it's a really popular event. So if you're interested, let me know. July, of course, is next week. So that means that we will start planning for our Christmas festivities downtown. And we will also plan for Small Business Saturday. So we've got some new plans for Small Business Saturday this year. So if you're interested in helping us with those, let me know. I'd love to get you on a committee to help plan those events because they're a lot of fun. I know William and Nina are going to be there helping us bring in the Christmas spirit with the Christmas parade and all of that stuff. And then the last thing, I would encourage you, if you don't get our newsletter, we send a newsletter out weekly. If you don't get that, you can go onto our website, frontroyalchamber.com, and put your email in and get that newsletter. So it just keeps you up to date on what we're doing. And again, if there's anything that we can do to assist you, if there's things that you'd like to see happening that aren't happening, and maybe we can help you facilitate that, please come by and see us.
Let's add to when we do the Small Business Week. If any of your businesses would like to sign up, they do what is it?
Yes, American Express.
Thank you. Send you a huge box of swag, and so we're always ordering those to get them, and then we put everything together to hand out. But if anybody else would like to get on that list, just go there and sign up for it. And then if you want to add to our huge goodie bag for everybody to be able to partake, that would be appreciated.
And there's some promotion in that as well on their website and some other things. So it's a good opportunity to just get a little bit of extra promotion. So,
Yep.
Thank you.
All right. Any questions for Nikki? All right. Thank you. All right. These next couple topics. These, again, we're all adults here. Let's control this. I know some people are more passionate about some of these things than others, but as Arlene kept saying, it's about all of us working together in the community. So one of the things we wanted to talk about, somebody had made mention, was the closing of Main Street and when. I don't know if anybody wants to start the conversation. I know some of the folks who wanted to are not here tonight. It's a Wednesday night, they're just not here in town to talk about that. This is not an event, we're gonna make sure nobody is pointing fingers, nobody is gonna be obnoxious. We're all adults here and we are gonna deal with these topics appropriately. So, appreciate that. But please, feel free, everybody needs to feel like they can have a voice. I expect that. I think we all expect that. Anybody want to start?
Don't look
All
at
right.
me.
I'll start.
Yeah.
I'll be
Yes.
bold.
Uh-oh. I told you we had to be quiet. No, it's fine.
Wasn't there a study with the town council and some of the issues about the scheduling and the number of closings and or full closings?
The number of times it could be closed.
Yes.
Yeah, last year, council did debate on this quite a bit. What they did choose to put in the code is to allow closure of Main Street twice a month. There was a lot of debate among council because that basically opened the door for 12 events for the year. But, it was debated with council. They tried to find a happy medium. But right now, as the code states, the Main Street can be closed twice a month. And so, as that's kind of where, before there were really no parameters set, and I think it came to be about a compromise. I know that there were several members on council that didn't like the 12 limit, and there were some that probably wanted more. But as it stands now, the codes does state that Main Street can only be closed.
So you're saying 12 times, but if it's twice a month, it's 24 times.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Now, that's a lot.
You're right. I'm sorry. You're right.
Yeah, it is a lot.
You're right. And it is a lot, but council debated on this, and council settled on that, and, it's something that we can bring back to council if that is the desire of this community.
And
But
Joe, council debated it with public input.
Yeah.
So,
But that is where we ended up settling for last year, was the twice event. And right now, we're talking, right now we average, or I think it's 6 closures now a year. Because we did have a closure, we had 3 closures in May at one point with the Civil War battle. But that has went away, and now Family Fun Days replaced that. But I think it's only 6 closures that we're looking at on an average every year. And so you got 2 in May, you got the Festival of Leaves, Christmas Parade. So there's 2 in May, but there's 6. Wine and Craft.
Yeah.
So, right. So there's 6 events.
6 is a lot more reasonable than 24.
Well, that's true, but unfortunately, that is the way the code is written at this point. That could allow that many. But the idea was to try to restrict it on a monthly basis. I think that's where council was trying to focus on by trying to keep at least Main Street open as much as possible on a monthly basis. Because the other...
Aren't those closures very expensive for those sponsoring? I mean, that seems to be a disincentive to do more than the 6 that we currently have.
Well, we talked about cost. There was some effort or discussion about adding fees for police service, trash service.
It currently costs now for insurance.
Right, it costs for insurance, right.
He's talking about his cost, if they want to sponsor them, what the cost is for that individual who wants to sponsor those events. Is that correct, David?
Thank you.
He's not looking at it from a town
Oh,
expense.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Can you repeat your question then?
Yeah, it's cost prohibitive. It's expensive to do this. I don't have a great incentive to do something that's going to cost so much. I helped donate to Will when he did his event because it's $1,000 or more.
The insurance for an event is upward of $1,000 plus.
I fully understand that right now, the way the code is written and the policy is written, that it does require the event holder to get a certificate of insurance. But there are ways that we could look at trying to reduce that cost. But I have not, it hasn't been brought up to me as a roadblock.
No,
the
for
event.
those of us that put on events in the community, that's a cost of putting on an event. No, I will never, ever bark at having to pay for insurance to as a liability for an event that goes on in our community, that I want to be a spokesperson for. We want to be a spokesperson for positive community, something that flourishes within our community and can grow, never to hamper anybody. So the $1,000 for the insurance, I'd never have a problem with. The fees that were discussed, and yes, it was discussed in depth on how many times we could close, and it was settled on no more than 2 closures a month, and it says in there no more than 8 times a year. So we're not going to close it every single month, 2 times a month, just on a whim. And you're going to have numbers and figures backing up your demand on closing Main Street. For me to have 30 people come down, they're not going to close Main Street, because for 30 people, I can stay in my ice cream shop. But when you have 5,000 people come into town on a safety issue for our community, you have got to close Main Street. There's no ands, ifs, or buts about it. That many people in our small community, you've got to close Main Street. And that's where the problem was last year, where we had all the discussions and we went through December and finally came up with a solution that would work. We will close Main Street. For the other events that don't close Main Street, we would only utilize half of the parking lot at the gazebo. Now, that's going to be another issue. However, we also sponsor the car show Cruise-Ins the first Saturday of every month, from May being Family Fun Day, so June 1st, the first Saturday, through October, we utilize the gazebo area, and I have this year maintained and will continue to maintain only the use in the back parking lot of the gazebo area. I do not have our people park up front. We will have some other people on the events stating other people utilize the back, but they park their people there also. So no, with the events that I have, I've let it be known clearly that this is the area that we can use and this is what we are going to do.
And thank you, Huck. This shows me a lack of preparation for tonight's meeting, but when Huck said 8, made me start to think and doubt myself. So I went into the code, and actually the code specifically says permitted twice a month with a maximum of 12 events a year. So that's where my 12 was coming from. I was, I was a little confused.
Main Street 12 times a year?
Yeah, maximum of 12 times a year.
As I recall, the last meeting we were here talking about that, it was agreed by the town council that it would be once a quarter. They would close Main Street. They may have more events downtown, but closing of Main Street would occur once a quarter.
No, unfortunately, that's not what happened or transpired. Actually, what they decided was twice a month. I don't rightfully remember ever being discussed on a quarterly basis.
But right now, there's only 6 events actually that they do, close it down. That's it.
Right now, we're a standard 6 event. Like I said, when Huck started the first year, it was 7 because we had that Civil War going on in May. And then I think it shifted to June, and now it's kind of it's at a standstill at this point, I guess.
My other question is about, at one time, it was a requirement that it be closed if nonprofits were having an event downtown, but anybody can close to have an event downtown now?
Anybody can file an application. The way the code states that the events that are town-sponsored take priority, and events that are established should take priority. But no, anybody who can put an event together that meets all the requirements and has the insurance, yes, they can.
And what are the requirements? Yeah.
The requirements, I can refer you to the code, and I can send you the code.
Can you just give me a brief little quick, tell me what the requirements are?
Well, first of all, it's an application that requires to get all the information about the event. If you're going to have food sales, we need to know that. All these, there's an application, and we capture all that data. There's an application fee, I think.
There's not an application.
There's not an application fee, but if you want electricity at the gazebo, there's $25. If you want water, we're still working out that issue with water, but you would have to pay for water. The biggest expense for any event is the insurance. As you heard Mr. Hawk, it's $1,000. He paid $1,000. I'm not for sure. I don't know what the true costs are.
The biggest expense for us is porta johns.
Board-
Is there an attendance requirement? And what is the requirement for that?
Excuse me?
An attendance requirement? Is there a requirement for that?
Yeah, the code, and I apologize, if I knew we would have gotten in detail to this tonight, I would have brought a section of the code and we could have went item by item. But there are parameters in here to help guide the decisions on approving it, and
And that's approved by town council?
no, ma'am, that is approved by my office.
You have to submit a plan with traffic control, how you're gonna handle, restrooms, all of that sort of stuff, so you do have
So
to.
if you're gonna have food or food trucks,
Yeah.
I apologize for coming in late. I work until 7 o'clock on the street, so I came as quick as I could. My question about all of this was that the last time I was here for a meeting talking about this about a year ago, the last thing I recalled was it was going to be closed once a quarter, and that for some reason I was told that it was events that were sponsored by nonprofits was what was able to close the entire street.
That was the old discussion, since when council had all of this meeting and council digested this probably a couple months
And the
at
code was
least.
changed.
Yeah, the code actually,
By
looking at the
council.
date here, the code was changed on January 14th of this year.
Of this year.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am, because we did spend a lot of time last year talking about it, trying to get input, and like I said, at the end of the day, council came to a compromise on what we have right now presently.
I think you have a slippery slope, not having some guidelines on what events you'll close for. If it's up to you to decide, because we had not too long ago, people very upset about having palm readers in town. So what if they come and want to close the streets and all these businesses that have, I think you have a.
And you're right, at any time, it's gonna become a slippery slope. Things are always changing, and that's why council's meeting all the time, and Joe's in front of these guys trying to say, help them understand, here's what's going on.
Right.
It's the whole freedom of speech, all of that has to be figured into this.
But if you had it for nonprofit or whatever good reasons, if I had a business downtown and paid for my business to be open, I think I'd be very upset if the street was closed quite a bit.
Well, that's
And a lot of times I tell people,
I've been on Main Street for 30 years, and I've had a back entrance, and I've had a store with not a back entrance, and being on Main Street is special. I mean, part of it comes with having events that bring people to town, because we are the center of the town. And in order to have a town, you need to have that center, a place for people to congregate.
The heart of.
So while Rollo Computers does not benefit from tourist activities in the festivals, we still keep our lights on with the doors locked and signs in the window, so just in case one of those people moves to town, then they'll know that we are a business. But being on Main Street does come with that regard that, yes, we are going to have events that close Main Street. Not all the time. I mean, there are 365 days out of the year.
I'm not disagreeing with you, Craig. What I'm saying is, if now you're saying twice a month, which if it's gonna be a special event, it's probably gonna be on a Saturday. So we say 2 Saturdays a month, that's a lot of closing of downtown, of Main Street.
But we also have partial closings that affect me as well when they have events at the courthouse to honor Memorial Day and those types of things, yeah.
I get it. I
So-
just think 2 days a month is an awful lot to ask.
It is 2 days a month with a 12 time count.
Yeah.
So it's only
12
It's only
times.
6 now.
It's only,
Right. Yeah.
It's only 6
Yeah, it's
closings
only
a
6
year.
and a maximum of 12 times a year.
But
That was last year.
I do want to hear y'all's feedback for that I can report to town council. I mean, this
I
is,
know that there were meetings. I'm sorry, I don't get notices about meetings, so I didn't know there was discussion on this earlier this year and that the code was.
Well,
I'll talk to the council individually. Yep.
but no, seriously, I want to hear your feedback, and I will take that feedback to council, and then we can go from there.
and go ahead, and that brings up a point. go ahead and like the town's Facebook page, because that's where all of those are posted. Go to the town's website, because all of the agendas are there with all of the attachments. Well, but that's where those meetings would have been listed.
It doesn't always come up though, that we see it.
But that's why you need to go to the website as a default. The council, we're either having a work session or a meeting. And all of those agendas are put out there. So, and they have all of the attachments with it, the supporting documentation for those folks who are going to be coming to present. But yeah, definitely, that's always going to be the latest and greatest on the town's website. It's actually right there, the big button at the bottom, it says agendas.
One other question, is there minutes or something of the discussion when that was passed to allow private groups to have, instead of nonprofits to have events downtown, and what their discussion was?
Yeah, we can pull all the minutes
I'd like to
from
see
those
that.
meetings. Okay,
Thank you.
let me get your name and stuff
I'll give it to
afterwards.
you.
All the town council.
I want to know when it happened, I don't have time to
To dig through all of it, yeah.
All right, anything else? Any other comment? Yes. Yes.
Sorry, Curtis.
He's next, he's number 2.
I guess it's just a curiosity factor more than anything else, is because there's no application fee for some of these events, how is the increased police presence and things like that, who pays for that?
Well, that was part of the debate last year about charging for police service, trash, and that. And council at this point chose not to charge anything.
There's definitely a cost associated.
There's always going to be a cost.
There's definitely a cost associated with it.
I know you guys probably on some of the events, I imagine it gets a little busier.
It impacts the budget.
It does, it's got to, overtime or whatever, it's.
Well, you've got police and you've got public works, because they're doing the trash, they're doing all of that other maintenance, the water, electric, and everything else. So it is, and it's a service, and council saw it as a benefit from the taxpayers to help keep these going. Again, it was a big discussion. They talked with a number of other local communities.
Well, I can tell you this, at the one town council meeting, we were told, somebody made the statement that these events don't cost anything. And I just want to go on record saying that I know that there's a cost associated with that.
Yeah.
And we, during that process last year when we debated on and discussed this, we developed an average cost of what it cost us for police service and trash and that was discussed, and council was aware of those figures, but they chose to keep it fee-free at this point.
And realize too, before any of these big meetings, we have a team meeting, so it's myself, Joe, all of the department heads, and who is ever putting that event on. So we've got the police here, we're talking about the road closures, when do the signs need to go up, all of that is discussed. When are the Johnny Blues coming in, when are they going to be picked up? So we have those pre-planning meetings, and then we will do a wrap-up meeting after the event. What went well, what do we need to work on for next year? So, and again, those are, we work really hard to make sure we don't continue to snowball issues and problems and concerns. So, you.
Well, as a new business, been on Main Street now for a year. We've taken advantage of the events and have grown into the community and used it as a way to grow our business.
Yeah.
And I'm a very big fan of the events on Main Street.
What is your business?
Next Home Realty Select.
Here on Main Street.
Here on Main Street, 210 East Main.
Yeah, I feel it's important that we do have some events, and 6 that's a lot, not compared to 300 and some odd days, but I understand the merchants that are on Main Street, and their concerns are that we used to be on Main Street, and there were times it's like, why are we open? But we still had customers. We directed them in the back way, come in at a certain time if you want to get here early before the crowd. There's ways of getting around it and letting your customers know. I understand that there's businesses that have been here for many years, and it does disrupt them. If we sit down and talk, we can work things out and make compromise.
Again, we're back to the parking issue.
Yes.
Because I do have a rear entrance to let somebody in, but when these events go on, I can barely get out of my lot.
Yeah.
That they don't have me pinned in.
That's where we need to put up signs saying no parking Yeah, this is
done
business.
really good.
Oh, I know. We've had to call the police a couple of times when we were on Main Street.
I
We
mean,
can't get out, there's cars.
William had a guy standing out there,
Yeah,
so people wouldn't park.
I sure did.
yeah.
I sure did.
And I don't know how many people he had to holler at.
And the events of putting on one of these, when the thought of putting on an event, let me tell you, there's a lot that goes into it. This started last year with the parade. We did the gazebo a couple of times, just the gazebo with no parade, and watched it grow from there. And at that point, Jean can say that I cost her because we closed the gazebo area. Okay, the other businesses up and down Main Street wanted to be a part of it. And then they didn't want to be a part of it. They wanted to complain about the parking at the gazebo being taken off. It grew into what it grew into as any event. Once you foster it, once you plant it, and once you water it, and if it's going to grow, you're going to know PDQ if it's going to grow. At this point, we are in May, that us as a community are going to have 2 events in the month of May that's going to shut down Main Street. If I'm not wrong, that is the only month that we have 2 events closing Main Street for that 1 month period. Okay? One of them is a wine and craft fest, and then the other one is the Family Fun Day that my wife and I started. I had an opportunity to celebrate my 1-year anniversary, as everybody in business has an opportunity to celebrate their 1-year anniversary. And then people wanted to do it again, and they wanted more. So I went and put myself out there and took more. Last year we were in here this same time frame with the same issue. What do we do? What do we do? Council listened to the community, came up with a resolution. If I have to pay for the police, you know what? I'm paying for the police. If I've got to pay for Public Works, I'm paying for Public Works, because our community depends upon happiness coming to them any way that we can get. So for us to sit here and argue about parking every time we have something, parking's an issue. Okay? If they want to come to my ice cream shop, they're coming to my ice cream shop. If they want to go to your jewelry store, or if they want to go to your bakery, or if they want to go into your art gallery, that's where they're going to go. The more time we bring the community and the people together, the stronger we are as a community, the happier we are, and the more that we can all sit down and get along and say, okay, you know what, this hurts my business for this reason, but I'm going to participate because it's good for our community. That's what we need to do. So I would like to offer at any given time for people to come in and talk to me about some of the plans that I see for my event, CNC Family Fun Day, which is a nonprofit, to move forward with the development of our community. Yes, ma'am, I am a nonprofit with the CNC Family Fun Day.
The only thing I have to say about that, and good on you for making this an event that you want to continue. I don't have a problem with that. Here's the problem I have. Closing Main Street 2 Saturdays in a row. I don't know why we couldn't space that out a little more. I know that you've always had the 3rd Saturday. It was my 3rd Saturday at one time, so I know what it's like to put together a big festival. I get it. But when I came by to open up my place to have a class that afternoon, there was no one down on this end of the street, but there were barriers blocking it off so people couldn't get into my place. There were cars way down the street. I think you had a car show or something going, but they weren't down this way. So if your event's big enough to come all the way down the street, more power to you. But if it's not, don't close the street. Find a better way to do it.
My event is large enough to come all the way down the street and will continue to grow to be large enough. And we can debate this further, and I would love to have you at open discussions, because I will be working with Joe down the line for what we want to do for next year.
I'd love to talk to you, but I can't do it until after 7 o'clock. And there we go.
We're open till 10 o'clock.
Okay, well, schedule it after 7 and I'll be
This
there.
ties in, this is why this parking analysis, parking study, whatever we want to call it, that Jeremy is putting together is so important. We know these events are going to continue to grow. We know the business is going to continue to grow. We've got to make town council, taxpayers aware, here's what we're going to have to grow into. The town had to purchase all of this back here and adjust for the parking lots. That's the cost of doing business. That's the cost of having a town. So that's why Jeremy's piece is so important. When it comes out, please, 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 we're gonna advertise it every way we can. So please pay attention when that is made public and we have all this discussion. We invite everybody to come and talk about this. This is long-term planning. This is not just what are we going to do next week. This is in the future. How are we going to start putting monies aside so that we can have the parking that we need, because we know these events, we know the businesses are going to continue to grow. So we want the voices, we want the input, so that we don't have to have these discussions every year. All right, anything else on that?
I hate to do this,
Okay.
but, I see an agenda item, parking enforcement. If we discussed it, I didn't hear, I want to hear discussion.
We jumped around.
I want to hear discussion about apartment owners and people using, especially the Peyton parking area, that just simply have parked their vehicles, and it's 24/7. They're using it like private property, and I can't help but keep thinking back on words from Jeremy that he's going to work on the underutilized parking for off-street. I'm thinking that implies the private parking, and he's going to somehow take care of how it's underutilized. If I misunderstood, clarify. And keep in mind, everybody else on Main and Jackson is exempt. This is old news for some of you that have litigated, that know about the pending litigation. So it's those people that you're asking to bear the parking, whereas everyone that's exempt, they seem to just get a free pass, and they're using it as their own private parking. Maybe we wouldn't have those problems if we could maybe tell people, this isn't your property to park as you wish and stay on it all the time. That's, we need a policy for apartment owners. We probably wouldn't have a problem with Peyton if there was some minimal enforcement. And this is not unique to our town.
By no means, you're exactly right.
I don't know why we seem to be having to reinvent the wheel when all these other small communities have the same issues. I don't expect to go to anywhere and expect free parking.
Right.
We're
not reinventing the wheel, but we just have to hear from everybody. Everybody has to understand that every town has, just like you say, every town has suffered this, every town has seen the highs and lows, and here we are. So that's what we're here to talk about. So, where do we want to start with this?
I'm new to town. What I'm trying to wrap my mind around is, as a small town, a small community where we're supposed to have community, that I've never talked to any of these people, and I've been downtown for 2 years. I've walked in your stores, I've talked to you, I went to one of the classes, and aside from there not being a community here, but a bunch of people in small little cliques.
That is so not true.
Oh, well, you know what?
Who the hell do you think you are?
I completely disagree with you. As an outsider that's come in here, I've joined community events, and now what I'm trying to wrap my mind around is we're upset now because we bring people downtown and we have these events. I mean, that's the part that's confusing to me. As a small business, I don't have anything to sell to anyone here anyways, but they do see my company. And now we're going to sit here and have a debate about we don't want these events, or there's too many of these events because of parking. There were thousands of people up and down the street here for Family Fun Day, and nobody was involved. No one. That leads to my thing about the community, because no one in this community helps out. There's 8 of us to put Family Fun Day. No, David, I'm not talking about you. We're talking, David, you and I.
We're good.
Yeah, we're good. But the thing is,
we agreed to not have these discussions, to not moving, and to say this.
I've listened to everybody,
Let's be
and I have
adults.
to try to understand. There was
So listen to them,
ways
help them
people.
understand why they've been here for years. And
That's what I'm trying to do, but everyone keeps interrupting me. There's all these people that could have been involved. There was people up and down Main Street. And where was everybody at?
We're really sorry you feel that way, because there are a lot of people that are involved in a lot of different things that are going on.
I'm not saying that, and I'm sorry if it sounded like a generalization, but.
You were there.
Absolutely, yes, you were. You were out passing out stuff, but I'm talking about the other vendors or the merchants that have openly complained about it repeatedly.
All right, well, we'll just move on past this. We've got to get up past this, so, I'm sorry,
I
Ellen.
have a question and then I have a statement. Number one, I moved into this community as a small business owner 10 years ago, almost. And I didn't know a single person in this entire state, much less Front Royal. And I pretty much know everybody here now, except for you.
Yeah.
So the other thing, yeah, what is your business?
I have a modeling business.
Where?
130 East Main Street.
The other thing I want to say about parking is I have a big parking space across from me. And the issue that you were talking about people spending overnight parking and camping out there, I don't know what happens on Peyton Street, but that doesn't happen in my parking lot behind Church Street. I have had some parking problems. It's a big, giant pain in the neck. It's a lot of responsibility on the business owner. But I will tell you that the police respond promptly when you call about people who are parking where they're not supposed to. At least that's been my experience. I have no parking signs right in front of my building. People still park there. It probably took, seriously, 3 or 4 years of having to call the police come down, the police talk to the people, and after 3 or 4 years, everybody but 1 or 2 people got the message, and they still come when I call them. So until we can figure out how to solve the massive parking problem that we have, I'm still gonna call you. Because you do solve the problem. You do solve that problem pretty quickly when I call. And the that's exactly right. The tow trucks will come pretty quickly also. Yes. Yes.
Chief, do you want to expand a little bit on what your guys are trying to do, and that you do answer the phone when people call?
We do answer the calls when folks are parked inappropriately. And when you have a parking lot of your own, you have parking spots and people are in them. It's your property. So if you want them gone, you can call some truck and have them towed away. If it's your property that they're parking. The parking enforcement is clearly something that is up for debate, because some folks don't want to really see any limits on the parking, and some folks want to see pretty stringent limits on the parking. Regardless of which side of that fence you're on right now, it's a little bit difficult for us because, like Joe said, the method of managing parking enforcement without meters is marking the tires in the pavement with a piece of chalk and coming back 2 hours later. And again, that is labor intensive, but we've also gotten some guidance from the courts now that have determined that is actually unconstitutional to mark people's tires with chalk. So we can't do it anymore. So there's that. So again, I guess this discussion will be continued.
So I bought a car last week for my son, just a little junky used car for him to practice on. But,
very teal blue.
I had it temporarily parked for one day, not overnight. I just parked it there because I had to buy it, and then I drove it in and parked it there. And they were ready to tow me.
Well, you should be
within a couple hours.
But
Unfortunately, went to the DMV. I printed it off my computer. You can get like a 3-day temporary permit, and so I did that. And, but my point is, they respond very quickly.
Whether you wanted them to or not,
they do come quick.
I'd like to say, I think the events have outgrown the space we have downtown, in my thinking. Because it seems very congested when you come down. And a lot of times I tell our guests, it's gonna be pretty hectic to get downtown. Yeah. Have you all thought, is there other places, any place else? Do they go down Chester Street as well?
They do, depending on the event, yes ma'am. Mm-hmm. And that's why we're looking at too, part of this parking analysis, some of these, like High Street, Cloud Street, some of those you don't even know, you turn and you're kind of like, oh, is this really a two-way street? It's a very uncomfortable feeling. So part of that will be, do we close it off halfway on the backside of Jackson Street, make that more of a public space so that we can expand it for some of these events? We could have tables there for the public to come and improve the lighting and do some of that. So we're looking at where can we take advantage of some of the spaces that we do have. Yes, ma'am.
I'm happy for him to come to Jackson Street.
Events are great. I think it's wonderful to have the people down, as many people as we can bring them down. But I do think.
Well, and that again is part of our meetings. These meetings that we have ahead of time is the overall safety. How are we going to respond if there's an issue? How do we get the emergency vehicles down here? The whole thing now, Joe, if you want, or Robbie, the barricades, the bollards that we're talking about putting up. There's a whole different world out there that we have to think about, and the town is being proactive. So we've got a lot of things We've added the bollards down there at the visitor center to keep people out. They're actually looking at, Joe, do you or Rob?
Yeah, actually, when we installed those bollards down there at the gazebo area to isolate the small parking for visitors and businesses and visitor center, they're removable bollards, and they turned out to be a really nice product and a nice economical product. One of the things after the Charlottesville incident, one of the things I mandated for every event after that, after Charlottesville, was to block vehicles, to block Main Street, to prevent anything of incident that happened in Charlottesville. Now with these bollards, we're actually going to install these removable bollards on Main Street on all the entrances to the event. Therefore, it won't be as ugly as a truck or anything blocking the road. There'll be these removable bollards that will allow traffic to flow if we need to get a vehicle in there, or allow pedestrian. But it is a safety measure that I think will help improve the aesthetics when we do close Main Street, but also protect the event.
Winchester just installed a new system at the Walking Mall this year. Has removable, they're adjustable.
Yes, Robbie went down there and worked with them, talked with them about their system versus what we had. And
of course.
They've never run the events down there.
Yeah.
And I believe that the Front Royal would have that same type of event schedule if more improvements were done on Main Street.
Baby steps, we're getting there.
I know.
We're getting there.
Just
Yeah.
close the street.
Start that debate, okay. Linda?
Several different kinds of things. One is that the last parade, that so much fussing has been done about, caused, the street was blocked off far enough up to cause a difficulty at the Episcopal Church on 2nd Street, where some of the people are elderly and disabled and had trouble navigating the traffic and that pattern. So I don't know what the pattern was, but I would say that it doesn't need to be quite as far down the street being blocked off as it was. The second thing is, we do the same thing every year, and I really would like to see, or missing, the fact that there is so much talent in Front Royal when it comes to singing or art, and there are such things as a pop-up park where you have just a little parking space size, you rent it for a cheap price, and you have the really smaller businesses than you see on Main Street get a chance to show their wares. So you might see a couch, you might see some nursery materials, you might see something in art, and so on and so forth. I'd like to see more of our talent showcased. And the second thing is, there was in DC this large parade, and it was a funny parade. And I don't know the name of it. Tim at the visitor center does know the name of it. But it's a humorous thing, and we don't get together to laugh sometimes. But they did. They had the briefcase brigade, for example, and they had the lawnmower brigade. They did choreographed little things, you know. And it was just a way to get together and say, oh, aren't they silly? And they belong to us, and they're ours, and it's fun, and it's live. And I'd like to see something like that. But a signature event that is really something that characterizes Front Royal, that would be annual and that would draw very large crowds. And I think that with Sandra, we've outgrown the space that we have. I honestly think we should be looking for something larger than we do. So I'm looking for more creativity and laughing, that kind of stuff, which gives me a sense of
Robbie
community.
gives hugs.
I gotta do a little.
I'm sorry, Arlene
Go ahead,
said.
sure.
I have a question for you. Down at the Bing Crosby Stadium in that huge field there, okay, is that opened up for events? I mean, there are things, you know, since I've been here, I mean, that's a ball field where you could have concerts and different things like that. You have the Fireman's Carnival there. You can have other events there too, all right? I mean,
County-controlled property, I don't know how they regulate.
Is that something that we can check into?
I think
I looked at that years ago when we were trying to do some new events and things, and found that it was so heavily scheduled between the minor league and the other leagues, et cetera, that we couldn't find dates to really plan things on the big field.
Yeah, but I mean, there's a lot of parking there. Our businesses at that end of town, I don't see that much traffic going in and out of there with the ball games and stuff like that. But it would help alleviate some of it off of Main Street. Just have the big events, continue with the big ones we have, but any additional ones, find a location like that. The only sad part of it is that all these people that are coming down, if they went to some other location, they're not going to see what we have on Main Street. This is a wonderful town. I'm here over 10 years, and I disagree as far as people not participating. I came from a community where all I had to do was send out a note, and I had 200 volunteers. You got to treat people with respect. Listen to what they're questioning you about. Come to a compromise. I'm part of FREBA. Okay? When I first came to Front Royal, I couldn't believe this town. It just was, I don't know. It wasn't going anywhere. It was kind of dead. There were businesses on Main Street, a lot of churches, and
Lack of cohesiveness.
Right.
Lack of people working together.
when I became part of FREBA, I started seeing changes. We helped to bring some of those changes by bringing businesses together. From where it was over 10 years ago to where we are today, there's been a lot of changes, a lot of good things, but there's not a lot of communication. And it's really hard. You want volunteers to help you. When we first started FREBA, trying to pull people in as volunteers. People in Virginia do not volunteer. Sorry if that, but that's been my experience. But as I got to know the community, we have volunteers. RMA comes down and gives us a hand setting up our event and tearing down.
Yeah, they're great.
And they don't ask anything.
Because we ask them.
Right.
Yeah.
So if you want people to participate, if you want people to help out in your community, reach out to them. Come to the businesses. I know you do, okay? And I've been part of your event, okay? And that's what's helping my business grow, by being part of these events, being part of the community. You know, being part of helping your community through charity. You know, it's not just focusing on your business, which is important. Because believe me, our business in the past 10 years, from where we were to where we are today, and the struggles that we have.
Yeah.
You know, with the internet killing us as far as free shipping and huge discounts, we're a business that's had to evolve, and we're making those changes. And because we're part of these events, I'm seeing those changes. Just this week, like I said, yesterday we were slammed. And, you know, trying to get around on a bum leg and teach kids, you know, doing classes and things like that. Right. And we have so much here. As far as offering art classes, you know, Kelly Walker, and then we have the gallery, and we have the brewery, we have the museum, we have CNC frozen treats. Everybody knows down. When my kids come from Delaware and Pennsylvania, and that's the place to go. Part of what we do for our community is when we get these people in our stores, we get people from all over, from Florida, from California, from New York, who stop in.
You bring in a great number of guests to our community, and I don't think the majority of people realize that you even provide that.
But even locally, when we get somebody from Winchester to come down and say, well, what do you have here in town? The map that we get from the visitor center, we start circling. These are the restaurants. This is where you want, if you want a good burger, you go to Spelunkers. And then if you want good Thai food, this is where you go. You know, so we help support all the communities, all the businesses, and we try to find out what the different businesses are. I challenge each and every one of you here, go visit the different businesses, not just on Main Street. Not on just, it's the whole community that we need to pull in together. There's this line drawn, Main Street and the rest of the town, and it's like, no! And we got to work together. And I'm more than willing. You give me your business cards. You tell me about your business. You know, I've sent people to the Beer Museum. I've sent people to CNC Frozen Treats. Unfortunately, I haven't had anybody looking for homes yet.
But you know Jen.
Yes. And like if somebody needs a place to stay, we send them to the bed and breakfast, to the hotels. And as a community, that's what we need to do, work together.
Right. And you're exactly right. And that, you know, tonight, bringing everybody together, we've rubbed a little scars, we've, you know, made some things apparent. Clearly there's more room, a greater need for discussion. I do want to value everybody's time, though. It is 7:30. Yeah, go ahead.
If you're about to end, I would like
No,
to
no,
say something positive.
Yes, thank you.
I used the online platform for Public Works for the first time about a month ago. I had an issue in the road outside of my building. Someone was there the next day to solve the problem. I mean, I was going to make a phone call, and then I thought, let's just see how this online thing works. The next day, the problem got fixed, and I thought maybe that was a fluke. So I logged on and I used it again, and you know what? Somebody was there the next day solving the other problem. So it works, and kudos to your kudos to your department because it was a real efficient way to take care of an issue.
Well, and we appreciate that. That's the comments we need to get out there more often to remind the public this is how easy and how quickly things can be fixed. There's always going to be big issues that we have to deal with. There's always going to be other things, but the town, the Public Works, the electric, they all do the best they can to get there as fast as they can to solve those problems.
Positive comment also.
I'm sorry?
Another positive
Oh, good. Okay. Yay.
I want to follow up on Linda's comment. There is an extremely great amount of talent in the community. For the past 3 years, we've tried as best we can to showcase some of that at the Beer Museum, and that's with the hurdles of joining ASCAP, the insurance issues, the economics behind it. And let me share one of the complicating factors that's sort of unique for our area and nobody else, and that is everybody in the community seems to expect that the entertainment should be free, which means that we've got to make it back up on the sales end. And this is a positive part. As soon as I ask for permits from the town, they've been automatically agreed to, and that's been a super great help. It would be nice to have had a complete beer garden, but we're going to keep it a positive.
We've got a beautiful community. We've got wonderful people of all walks of life in this community. Let's just be a community. You know, positive community. Let's smile, let's love, and let's just be a community.
One of the things I do want to talk about is the discussion of the next meetings. We've been doing these on a quarterly basis. First off, is that often enough? Is that enough time? And then let's talk about the dates and the time. Is there a better time? Is there a better date? Anybody want to throw something out there?
And that's,
It could be another day before 7, but Wednesday.
the truth be known, the reason I asked Felicia to put this on here was I think last meeting we had more staff here than that. So I thought it would be a good opportunity to whoever comes today to find out like 7 o'clock. And that's good to know. I mean, you all have businesses to operate, and therefore we need to be accommodating. Maybe not have all the meetings in the evenings, maybe have an early morning meeting. But that's the kind of feedback we want to hear, because I'll be honest with you, this is what I want. I want attendance, I want discussion. I mean, this is healthy for everybody to vet out what's the problems, and these are the things that I take to council. And what I will say this is that our next meeting, parking will be number one with events, and I plan to encourage council to show up so that they can hear your concerns as well. I mean, they'll be able to listen to this video, but I will try to get some council participation next month so that they can actually hear directly from you.
Next month, so that means you.
I mean, not next month, but next meeting. Unless, you know, but yes, next meeting.
What date? You guys throw something out here. I mean, are we looking at 3 months from now? What do you want to do?
Well, I'm kind of looking for generalities, like 7 o'clock, or is a morning meeting, or should we like alternate evenings and mornings, or mid-afternoons? You know, this.
6 is fine as long as it's not on Wednesday.
Well, and they haven't been on Wednesdays in the past. This is one of those awkward times with all these other meetings.
I think it would be a bad idea for you to offer some alternating times.
Right.
Because there are people who evenings, it just doesn't work for them. So
And
I think you might do yourself some good if you do offer.
So like 8 o'clock in the morning? Okay.
Yeah.
Do we want to try that? Look, people are going, no.
No, I'm an early morning, I'm a morning person. But morning is a good chance, you know, good opportunity too, for people who can't make it
10
at night.
o'clock.
10 o'clock? Come on. Just get up early for once.
No, 8 o'clock is good.
I do, I have
I know.
other things.
At 7 a.m. I can't get there.
Right.
Yeah, I'd say 8,
Yeah.
but
8:30.
I come from Winchester,
Yeah.
so it's a little early.
I can be here anytime.
8:30?
Nice.
Yeah.
So 8:30 a.m.
Yeah, because there are meetings in the morning at 7 o'clock too.
Yeah, it is. It's 7 a.m., so it's.
So it's
Just
like,
have coffee.
Yeah.
So 8:30 on what, the 25th? Is that the next
Judges
meeting
heard those
date?
directions, okay. I'm not a coffee drinker, so I don't know how to make it. All right, so
Is it
8:30.
What is it? Is it the 25th of September? Is that what you're looking at, or when?
That's right.
That would be, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because Friday's the 27th, which is Taste of the Town.
So is everybody good with that?
Yes, I like those little posters, those little
Postcards?
you put out. That was very, very nice.
Since the post office delivered only half of them, yes, the ones that did get through, yes. So we're working on that. But, all right, so we've got 8:30 a.m. on the 25th of September, is that what we agreed to?
Yes.
Okay.
That's the week of Taste of the Town, come on.
Yeah, well, you asked for it, too.
No, we'll be fine.
We give them one of the
You don't
maps
have
of
anything to do
downtown.
that day.
And we talk to
I
them,
do.
and we tell them the different
Hold on,
restaurants.
Guys.
And we tell them what's downtown, the beer museum, the Thai restaurant, the mill, and we go through what is down there. And if there's any special things happening, if we know about it, we'll be glad to share it. And I think that would be good for all of us, like if the ice cream people come in, you could say, what are you doing? By the way, this is going on. I think the more things that we knew about what was happening.
And it's a great point, because all of your B&Bs, all of your hotels, that front staff wants to know what's going on. When a customer asks them what's going on, they want to be able to answer that.
Right.
So please, if you're a business and you've got an event going on, let these B&Bs know. Let those hotel front people know. Yeah.
We'll tell people.
Yeah.
And we're small, small,
you're busy.
like you say, the
You're
hotel.
busy.
Yeah.
All right, anything else?
Thank you.
Thank you all. Thank you.